Hi everybody, it's Mr. D. And in these first few videos, I kind of want to give you an idea of some of the philosophies that I have that might help you, and how I learned them. And I promised that I would give a lot of hopefully funny stories, maybe some that aren't so funny, about how I learned some of the things I've learned over those years. And so today I'm going to share a story with you right off the bat. It was my second year teaching, and every year the students, I have a chorus, and we always go, you're supposed to go to a festival where you get adjudicated. Your peers are there, you take your children, they sing some songs, you receive a rating, and the rating is the best ratings, superior, which is the best you can get, are usually published in a magazine. At least at that time in the state that I was living, that was the case. And the best rating you can receive is superior, and then there's excellent, and there's good, and there's fair, and there's poor. And so my first year teaching, I was too afraid to go to the event because the kids sounded terrible, and I felt like a total failure in every way, with classroom management and with the way they were singing. So the second year I got the nerve to go. Now the kids who I was taking that year were 8th graders, and they had the previous teacher in 6th grade. So they were accustomed to her, of course, and they had adjusted to me by now pretty well, but they were accustomed to receiving superior ratings, which is the best you could get. And you have to sound quite good for that to happen. So, I thought my kids were ready. I took them to the event, and we sang, and it was fine. Actually, it sounded terrible, to be honest. And I didn't know what to expect. I knew I had done my very best work. I looked into the packet of papers. I saw that my children had received 3s, which means good. Very few choirs really receive good. Usually it's excellent and superior, but there are some that receive good. And then I looked through the papers a little further, and I saw some 4s on the subcategories of different areas that they evaluate you, and so that we barely got a 3. And my heart was broken. I felt like a failure, complete failure. And so, I knew I had to announce to the students about what our rating was. So I went onto the bus as promised. I told them I would tell them when I got onto the bus, and they were all anxiously waiting. And I get on the bus, and I say, "Okay, everybody, great job. I'm really proud of you all, and I know you worked really hard, and your rating is a good." And it was silent, and I didn't know what to say. I mean, my heart was broken. Their hearts were broken, but they just kind of accepted it quietly. There were some moans, and I sat down, and we started our journey back to school. And this girl who was sitting next to me, who I will call Asia, she said, to try to make light of it, she said, "We did good, Mr. Duncan." And because they always spoke like that with bad grammar in that way. So I kind of giggled, but I remember it vividly, and I remember thinking, oh my God, they got a good. So, and even to make it worse, to make things worse, as I mentioned earlier, they published the results in a magazine, and the magazine, normally only they publish the superior stuff, and this magazine is a state choral magazine, which goes to all the choral peers from that state. And I went to school in that state, so I had a lot of peers. And they accidentally, in that year, published all of the ratings, everything. So my 3, my good, was public for everyone to see. And I say that was a moment of awakening for me in a big, big, big way. And that's sort of what this whole blog entry is about, as you saw in what I wrote that accompanies this. People change when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. And I knew at that moment, I was so embarrassed. I was publicly embarrassed. I saw my peers, many of whom were younger than I, who were struggling. I'm sorry, who were not struggling, who were just sailing through, and something I was doing was not working. And I've seen teachers in my career never even realize that what they're doing isn't working, and they keep doing it, and they blame the students, they blame the parents, they blame the administrators, they blame everyone except for themselves. And for me, I decided to take a look in the mirror, because I knew I either had to quit teaching because I was frustrated, I was not doing a good job, or I had to figure out how to do it better, and that's the route that I took. It was not easy, and it isn't easy, but every day I made a pact with myself from that day on to come home, take a look in the mirror, and say what went well today and what didn't, and how was that my fault? What did I do that caused that to go that way? And that's a really hard place to be, but it's also a place that when you get to that place, you can become the best version of you, and you can serve those children better than you ever believed that you could. And so that is what I want to leave you with today. I hope that you won't beat yourself up. I tell new teachers all the time, people who are very successful in other jobs, who maybe are making a career change. I mean, I have a friend who was a physician. She's, an MD, and she decided to become a teacher in her 40s, and I thought, wow, that's a big transition, and you were making a lot of money, and now you're not going to be making a lot of money. And I knew that she would fail, 100 million times, but I kept saying to her, do not beat yourself up when you fail. Just learn from it and grow and forgive yourself and ask other people questions and try to learn how to be better and how to teach better to this age group, which is so unique, and how to use your individual talents, whatever they are, to entertain them and to serve them. In closing, I mentioned that sometimes people never learn. I see teachers who've been in there for 30, 35 years, and they're miserable, and the kids in their classroom are miserable because they never will do the introspective work. They always think it's someone else's fault. Or maybe they have these certain boundaries they won't cross. I had a student teacher who I admire and respect, but he wasn't young at the time, but I remember I want to reward my students when they do fun things or good things. So at the end of class, sometimes I'll throw them a starburst if they answer questions correctly, something to get everybody to zero in on what we learned that day. And I remember he was getting ready to throw do the questions at the end of the day, and I said, would you like some starbursts? And he said to me, no, I don't want to bribe the children. And I thought, oh wow, I don't see it as a bribery, I see it as motivation. And I didn't used to do that either, and the kids weren't interested and not motivated. Now, needless to say, this person fortunately is still teaching, but has had numerous struggles, because I believe when you cling to these kind of principles of life that maybe work in other settings or whatever, maybe with your own children at home, and you fail to see that in the classroom you need to do things to motivate this age group of children, you do a disservice to yourself. You make your job more difficult. I've had a couple of counseling sessions with that person because he would come to me and say, can you please help me? But people won't change until the pain of change is greater than the pain of staying the same. So when he gets to a point, maybe he will. Meanwhile, I'm sure he's serving the children in other ways. I just want my day to be fun, and fun for me, fun for the kids, as many days as possible. And I've learned that it helps me get some good results. All right, you all have a great day, and hope to talk to you soon. Email me at inthemiddlewithmrd@gmail if you have questions. Comment on the blog. Please like me on Facebook. It's In the Middle with Mr. D at Facebook. And of course, I have my sight singing products available on Teacher Pay Teachers under Music in the Middle with Mr. D. The method is called S Cubed. So send it to your music friends. Good luck, middle school teachers. The year's coming up. I hope you have a great one. Thank you.